welcome. Thank you for coming. We're about to get started if we can.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, no, no, no. We can do better than that. Good evening. Thank you, thank you. Just want to make sure that you are alert. Welcome, welcome, and thank you so, so much for being here. Give yourselves a round of applause for being able to win the Houston traffic and getting here. So thank you. My name is Deidre Fontaine, and I have the honor and privilege of serving as the Chief of Staff for the best county judge in America, Harris County Judge Lina Hidalgo. So remember those claps, Judge Hidalgo, tomorrow. I'll be helping to facilitate tonight's event along with Judge Hidalgo and several members of our team. And as you all know, budget season is in full swing at Harris County, and I do mean full swing. The purpose of tonight's event is to help you and to help us, the community, understand the budget. And so by the end of tonight's town hall, we hope that you will understand it, and we will too. This is going to be engaging, insightful. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your questions. We want to hear your input. And so Judge Hidalgo gave me 30 seconds. I think I've used 20. So with that, I am happy to introduce someone who does not need an introduction. She's passionate and committed to serving the residents of Harris County. She believes in transparency, open and honest communication, has served this county for nearly 8 years. Applause. And your host for the evening. Welcome, Harris County Judge Lina Hidalgo.
Oh, okay, thank you guys. So yes, I told the team we could talk all together for 5 minutes max. So I'm gonna do like 20 seconds, which is thank you all so much for being here. I know everybody has competing commitments for their time. I hope you find today useful. About half of it, we want to, for you to hear from us and ask questions, and the other half, we would like to hear from you. And any questions we don't get to, we'll make sure to respond later via email or the best way to contact you. So let me just briefly introduce the folks here. We have Houston City Council Member Joe Panzarella of District C. And Council Member, if you'll join us and just say, just very, very briefly, I know it's your district, so.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Councilmember Joe Panzarella. It's really a privilege to be here right in the middle of District C. I just want to say thank you to Judge Lina Hidalgo for hosting this budget town hall. Transparency in our budgeting is really important. And so for everyone to be here today to get to listen and to learn about the budgeting process is an amazing step forward in that transparency. And so again, I want to thank the judge. I want to thank everyone for being here. And let's listen and learn. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So we have Tom Samuels here, the Senior Advisor at the Office of Houston City Council Member Julian Ramirez. There we go. Thank you for being here. We have Jordan Frazier here, Chief of Staff of Council Member Sally Alcorn. All right, welcome. And Adrian Hernandez, District Director for State Representative Jean Wu, District 137. Welcome, welcome, or they will come soon. And we have here Marty McVeigh, Chief of Staff of the Consular Corps of Houston. Thank you so much for being here. Of course, our County Administrator, Erica Lee Carter. Thank you. She's here in the front. We have our Budget Director as well, Daniel Ramos. Thank you for being here. Yeah. Benson John, I believe, is here. All right, hi. So he's the Deputy Director of the Office of Emergency Management. Okay, Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator also, that's what it was. I was like, wait a minute. Yes, so anyway, we work very closely with Benson, and he's always there during emergencies, you guys, all of these years, so. And Leah Barton is here, Executive Director of our Public Health Department. Rob Lazar, Communications Officer at the Harris County Flood Control District in the back. Myron Jones, Precinct 1 Coordinator, Harris County Flood Control District. All right, also in the back. And Cherise Story, who is the Secretary of the League of Women Voters. And so if you guys need to register, have questions about voting, you know, we have an election coming up. I know there are so many leaders here. I cannot introduce everybody, but I just wanted to mention some folks. And the county department heads will be sitting at your tables as well. So they're there now, but we will spread out so that you guys can have, you know, any questions, ask any questions that you that you may have. So I am going to pass it on to Juliet, who is our expert on the budget. And so she's going to run you guys through a 12-minute presentation, and then we will get to work. We have some questions for you guys, and then we have some Q&A, and so it'll all be sort of participatory from there. But this is kind of like the basic intro that we thought folks would need to know. So anyway, thanks again for being here. It really means a lot, and to all the county leaders who are here, thank you all so much as well, especially administrator and budget director. It means a lot for you guys to have made it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. I hope that we do learn more about the budget after this meeting. Next slide. So the county is funded by numerous different funds, and we're going to discuss the general fund tonight, which funds the majority of the services that taxpayers rely on and benefit from. Next slide. Or actually, back one. The general fund covers health, clinics, emergency, medical services, law and justice, environment, county operations, and residential care, along with roads and bridges. Next slide. Harris County has been fortunate to have a long track record of strong economic growth and property valuation increases. There are tools that we have in place to moderate the impact of the annual valuation increases, and the Texas statute limits the amount of taxes that the county can generate without a tax rate election. The county is limited to a maximum 3.5% increase annually. For the tax year 26, fiscal year 27 budget, the maximum revenue the county can generate from M&O taxes is increased by approximately $60 million. About $42 million of that is transferred to the reinvestment zones and not available for general county use. After more than a decade of holding the tax rate steady, the county has lowered its combined tax rate every year between 2019 and 2023. Please notice that the property tax revenues are 79% of the general fund. Next slide. The budget that is going to be presented at Commissioners Court on Monday, August 17th, is broken down according to the slide, how the general fund will be spent. This version is keeping services and staffing at current levels. No one is recommending structural or countywide layoffs. This does reflect the constable's pay increases, and year 2 of the law enforcement pay increases will also continue in several of this version that is presented on Monday at Commissioners Court will be balanced. We will achieve this by applying $16 million from the fiscal year 25 surplus to balance the budget. Next slide. Okay. Why does Harris County continue to start with a deficit. Just like each of us has experienced, costs are increasing annually. Healthcare, labor, and construction costs are more expensive. State law caps property growth at only 3.5% annually. The population growth rate does not keep up with the revenue. This creates a persistent budget deficit. So we now invite you to participate in the following group discussions. We will have 6 minutes to answer 3 questions as a group. Next slide. Okay, question 1. What are your biggest needs now that you have observed that the government could help you with? And we will have 6 minutes for these questions. And so we'll go to the next slide. Oh, yes, you have a question. Yes, the flood control, HECTRA, and Harris Health are not included in the general fund budget. Okay, the second question is, have you seen any efficiencies in the county? If so, please describe. And then the third question. Next slide. Understanding that we have to have a balanced budget and that we have to start with a structural deficit, which would you rather that Harris County do? Reduce services to keep increased fees and taxes flat, or increase taxes and fees and keep the current level of services? So now we'll have a couple minutes to answer that, and I will let you guys discuss that amongst the tables. Yes, and also the questions are in your slides on the table. Okay. Which would you rather that Harris... Can I please have your attention? Can I please have your attention? I wanted to reread this last question, if I could get your attention, please. Which would you rather that Harris County do? Reduce services to keep fees and taxes flat, or increase taxes or fees and keep current level of services? No, I said 6. Just a time check. We have 2 minutes left at this point. It's okay.
Okay, so what was after this? Is it the Q&A?
Yes, but I'm going to say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pencils down.
Yeah.
And does anybody want to discuss anything?
Oh, okay.
And
how
then
much
we're going to
time
go
do
to
we
the
have for
Q&A.
discussion?
50 seconds left.
Okay.
No, for
And then the
discussion.
Q&A
I'll start
is
the timer at that point.
No, total, how much time do we have for report outs?
Oh, 15 minutes.
For report outs?
no,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no,
Like,
20
why don't you
minutes.
pull up the schedule?
20 minutes,
I
Judge.
don't think so. Let
Here,
me pull it up.
this is
Hang
what I
on.
have.
Yeah.
No, see, these are questions. These are not report outs.
Oh, no, the report out was a total of 6 minutes, and we didn't put like a report
So there's
out
no
time.
report out time? Okay, we're just going to collect it.
So I'm going to start the clock at 6 minutes again, and then when they share out.
Pull it up because I don't think we're talking about the same thing.
For 3
Just
questions.
wanted to make sure you just want them to answer the third question right now, and then do one question.
1,
at a
2,
time?
and 3.
1, 2, and
No,
3.
all at the same time.
All at the same time. Okay.
Yeah, so it was 6 minutes, 2 minutes per question.
Right now,
6:24.
yeah, we have a buffer. Now we're leading audience Q&A. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So say 3, 2, 1, pencil.
Ready? Okay. 3, 2, 1. Pencils down, everybody. Thank you. So now I wanted to see if there's anyone who would like to discuss their answers and share out at this point.
And so we have. Okay, folks, I know several folks have questions too. So this is where we're going to sort of pause the, go the other direction, right? So if you guys would like to share what you put on your sheet, you're welcome to do that. But you're also welcome to ask us questions at that point. Can I get everybody's attention for a moment? All right, I know everybody's having great discussions. So you all, we have about 20 minutes to answer questions, or if you would like to share what you have written. Either way, we will collect your notes and we will review them. And I want you to know, we are making these budget decisions. I'm making my own position, my own decision, and it will be based on this. Okay, we're going to collect this, we're going to read it, and then you will have another exercise on the big post-it note. So anyway, so let's take some questions. All right, go ahead and welcome.
Here we go. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Mo Cortez, thank you, Judge and everybody. For number one, for question one, what are the biggest needs? We put mental health needs, especially for people that are undocumented or underdocumented. They're not able to get access to a lot of these services. Survivor services and funding, housing, education, immigrant well-being for question one. And question two is inefficiencies, the over-incarceration in this county. The county should have at least half of their meetings at the night during the evening, so people like who are working during the daytime can come here at night. And then the law enforcement funding is overboard with the constables and the other 62 agencies. And the third question answer was services, which is I think we said higher taxes and higher services. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, here. I'll come right over here. What? Anyone?
question is about healthcare and what changes are coming for 2027 as far as the seniors are concerned, because I understand there's lots of changes that's going to affect the seniors, pretty much blindside us while we stand and everything, with no warning whatsoever, specifically when we're going to the doctor, co-pay and what have you, and even drugs themselves.
Generally speaking, okay, so that's a good question. It's certainly a concern of mine, and so it's about healthcare. If for folks who are county employees, there is a proposal on the table to change a little bit the benefits, and so that's a big concern that folks have been talking about, and we are still discussing on Commissioners Court. Yes. Right. So the benefits, right now we're trying to figure out ways to do more with less, right? So we're trying to figure out how we're going to squeeze money out of the budget that we have. One thing that we did do in 2019 is we did a Doge style study, and so we've improved a lot of efficiencies. We've implemented a lot of those recommendations, and if I misspeak, the budget director will clarify here, the county administrator. But one of the strategies that we're looking at this year, we've so much sort of narrowed the efficiencies that a big way for us to try to make up the budget deficit this year is through the sale of buildings, county buildings. So the problem with that is that obviously you can only sell the buildings once. So, this is something that unfortunately I've not been able to persuade my colleagues over the past few years, and that's on me, right? But we are at a point, and that's partly why we wanted to do this, is to share, it really is that third question, right? Are we going to cut services, or are we going to increase fees and taxes? And so, to your point, this year, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, we're not looking at any major cut in health or public health services. However, I think, frankly, I think next year, certainly soon enough, there will be no more buildings to sell, right? And so, that's why I want the public to be aware. And that's why, when there's this $300 million commitment for raises when we don't have $300 million, my thinking is, look, we should ask the taxpayers if they would like to see that additional line item, because it's going to have to take away from a lot of what we have, or we're going to have to raise taxes. And so, going forward, to the extent that we have, your communities that you lead, that folks are really doing the work to try to watch as closely as possible, I think that helps all of us. Here's the last thing I'll say. I'm not trying to put it on you guys, right? Like, it's on me to share things with you all. You have your own jobs. The reason I'm also raising awareness about this is because I myself have been blindsided by a lot of this. The day that the $300 million in raises were awarded, I didn't know that was a real thing that the county was considering. I thought it was a symbolic agenda item. And so, totally took me by surprise. So that's where, that I do need to lean on the public and on the media to say, hey, we need to know about these things. And so that's why I want to hear from you guys today, share kind of the tough question that we're facing. Yes, let me see. I'm going to go here, and then in the back.
Once before, if I'm not mistaken, there was a comment where there was a study done that if we provided healthcare or diversion programs before people actually got incarcerated, what was the name of the study, or do you recall what I think it was like early childhood.
I mean, it's sort of, I'm sure we had one, and it's also sort of generally known that sort of prevention is always less expensive than the responsive. Thank you. Thank you. So the comment was, what if we provided more diversion and sort of preventative services before people need more expensive care. And, you know, we're talking about, you know, we were just having a conversation about like what are the statutory responsibilities of the county, and let's not go beyond that. And so one of the statutory responsibilities is the public hospital system. So certainly, I think, you know, that's a really good point. One of the issues that we've had with this pay raises question versus early childhood education, and I did an interview today to that effect, is, you know, when it came to say, let's give law enforcement $300 million in pay raises, which I believe law enforcement should be paid well, right? Like, I think that there's a debate between should we have more, what kind of policing should there be, that kind of a thing, but certainly I think most people would agree that we want really great people to be police officers. And I think they should be paid more. I think teachers should be paid more. You know, those are the kinds of jobs that we really need to attract the very best. However, you know, that kind of a big investment. So it was about 100 some odd million so far, right? 129 initially for law enforcement so far. 190 over the 2 years, but so each year it grows. So by the time 2029 comes around, the line item will be 300 million. So in that case, and I was listening to the Commissioner's Court discussion today that we had back then, and it was about, you know, the city has given a raise, so, you know, right now we have a lot less attrition than the city, but eventually we're gonna have more, and so we need to give these raises now, and we don't have time for a committee, and we have time for discussions, and so, but with early childhood education, it was, let's make a committee. And so, right now, there's still an opportunity to have those conversations because the budget process is ongoing, and to say, look, if we're going to cut something, this is what it should be. So yes, I mean, look, if we addressed early childhood, eventually there's less crime. If we address prevention, that would, you know, I think it's like you kind of try to do both, but you have to balance the expenses. I'm going to try to be less long-winded with my responses. I'm sorry. There was somebody here, and then I was going to go to the other side. Okay, I'm just going to go on sort of around the, yeah.
I'm just going to read all three of ours at one time then. Our question was mental health, homeless being released early, preparedness for any outbreak or any that potentially we see coming, discharge from hospital at mental health, non-compliance of being discharged on the street, I mean, you know, back to the street. I don't think there is an compliance. And I will ask, we would rather raise taxes to keep a level of good service.
Thank you. So I just want to make sure I understood this. So is this the inefficiencies, is mental health and homelessness? Okay, the second one. Okay, the inefficiencies is releasing people from the hospital when they're not healed. Thank you. There's no compliance on this. The first one is on what you'd like to see continued investment in, so mental health and homelessness, oversight and compliance. And then the final one is you believe that it's better to increase fees to maintain the services that we currently have. Thank you. Yes. Okay, thank you.
So Rosie Valadez, Mixed Day. Our table in the back is wanting to know about the transparency of the $305,000 salary per 8 constables, which is $2.4 million a year for 8 leaders. And we understand the number 2, though, is the question to number 2, which is the inefficiency. So if I live in the Greater Heights area, lots of car break-ins, lots of different things, Buffalo Bayou Park, etc. If you go and cross to Monty Beach or Moody Park, there's a lot of different, there's poor lighting, sidewalks are broken, people can't get around easily. Seems to be this lack of transparency about the coordination between the sheriff's office, constables, and the City of Houston Police Department. And having worked in the medical center for over 20 years, it is amazing to me to think that a constable, who I understand is very responsible for a very large territory of this community, but $305,000 is a lot of money. And I just need to understand what's their downstream structure, their organizational structure, who are they overseeing, how does that work with other government entities? Because to me, that was the most shocking thing that I read about in Commissioner's Court. So.
Thank you. And I'll ask my team while I answer another part of the question to help me pull the size maybe you guys have of the constable precincts in terms of the number of employees for each, because the answer to your last question, ma'am, is it varies by constable precinct. And so in terms of coordination between the city and the county, that is certainly an ongoing conversation. My staff has been reaching out to the mayor's staff to see, wouldn't it be great if, in addition to informing people about the issues, if we were able to present some really serious efficiencies. In the past, politics has sort of gotten in the way of that, but I'm really committed. I would certainly like to find that. And then as far as talking about the $305,000, I guess I'm just wondering what level of detail I should give here. Would you like to know? I'm trying to see the person who asked the question. Oh, hi. Would you like to know sort of how the proponents of that explain their reasoning? Would you like to know, how that came about? Right. 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 Yeah. Right. I mean, it's a different responsibility in a lot of counties, and the constable's duties is service of process, right? When somebody needs to say that you got a lawsuit or enforcing warrants. In Harris County, for several decades, because of legislative advocacy that previous Harris County leaders did, the constables have more power than in other places. So they each have evidence rooms, they have SWAT teams, they have, their own, they can do their own purchase of sort of military grade equipment. And then of course they have contracts with neighborhoods for contract patrol. We did try at some point to try to redraw the constable precincts so it would be even. They're the same precincts as the justices of the peace, but it's a very political issue. So at the time, the legislature passed a law that says that we could not reduce the funding of any law enforcement agency. Of course, we weren't looking to do that in total, but if you have some big districts and some small ones, by definition, you're going to reduce the funding of the big ones if you're going to even things out. I'm going to try to present sort of the most honest description of the reasoning behind the 305. The colleagues passed last year, I believe, a raise for 2 years ago, a raise for the sheriff. That was about 300. I'm looking for Veronica here. 330. Okay, that was $330,000 for the sheriff. Of course, he oversees countywide, and also the many detention officers that are at the jail. And then there is a law that passed the state legislature last session that says that we have to pay all the law enforcement leaders the same amount. And so, of course, the constables are now making less than the sheriff, and there was some sort of negotiation there that I was not a part of. But so that would be the reasoning, I believe, that the proponents of that pay raise would give you. My counter is that when they gave that big raise, they knew about the law. And in any case, we can be transparent about the raises, and instead it's really not been talked about until after the fact. But I'm, in some ways, to me it's a silver lining because it has really woken people up to the kind of disparate way in which we're prioritizing funding. And so anyway, did we have an answer on the size of the constable precincts? So 68 to 400? Here, I'll let you answer.
the constable districts range from about 60 deputies to about 400.
Yes.
Their political power in military lines.
Okay, so we're kind of having a continued discussion about the constables, and ma'am, I will answer that question, but I want to be fair, and so I'm going to keep going around. But Veronica's tracked that question, yes? Okay.
Yes, my name's Noah, and I wanted to ask about the ALPR contract. Given that a Houston Chronicle report found that 2/3 of what were used, the police officers put other, which means there was like no law enforcement reason for the search, and that there was 170 lookups of immigration this year. I would like to know what the opposition is with the Commissioner's Court to canceling the contract, and if that's not possible, what amendments could we see to reduce law enforcement's abuse of the ALPRs? Thanks.
All right, thank you. And by that, you're talking about the flock cameras, correct? So those are the cameras that read license plates. And, you know, on the one hand, they have, and we have specific examples from our law enforcement that they have successfully been used to find criminals and solve cases. On the other hand, there are some very real privacy concerns that are being raised around the country. So on that topic, I will say my position is that we should have a thorough conversation with the community. That day, it was like there was a sort of a procedural trick used to where we could not discuss it. You know, we tried to say something about it, and they were like, you know, well, now we have this kind of meeting, so you can't. And so that continues to be my position. As far as, you know, now it has passed, what kind of changes can we make? I'm gonna defer to my experts here. Administrator Carter, are you able to speak to that, or should I? The changes on the flock contract. You can't. Okay, if not, I have it too, but I just thought you might have more detail.
Well, all county contracts have a provision, if needed, that a department could make the change. This contract is owned by several different county departments. The Commissioner's Court could, if they chose, cancel their portion, but there are other departments that have it directly as well that are in law enforcement, and so it'd kind of be up to the individual departments. But we do have provisions in all contracts that we could cancel if there was a reason.
Okay, and Veronica, maybe you can, when you have a moment, talk a little bit about the changes to the privacy points to the contract. Okay, so let's go to the next question. A clarifying question from whom? All right, go ahead, sir.
Hi, my name is Paresh. I work for the Universal Services. Question is, I'm trying to clarify, can we have all the people who can work from home and lease the buildings and make money?
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna pass that one on here too, and then I'll say my pieces.
So the work from home and then the strategy around real estate is part of our 5-year financial plan. We're spending a lot of time looking at, you know, what space do we have, what space is valuable, what space is strategic, so that we're able to do, you know, what can we surplus and make money from, and where do we really need to invest. The issue that we run into is that where we have the biggest concentration of in-person use is downtown. Which is, you know, obviously more expensive. Then you have to take into consideration parking, et cetera. And so we're seeing some of those mismatches of what we own versus what we need. So we're working through it. In terms of the work from home, at this point, that's at the discretion of the individual department head. You have, I won't speak for my fellow department heads, but I know a lot of them have a preference for in-person the majority of the time, but that's kind of at their discretion at this point.
Thank you. I mean, certainly, thank you. Something worth looking into. I will tell you, we have seen sort of an we have seen an efficiency difference on work from home versus in person, like a lot of businesses, we're the public sector, but unfortunately that's been the case. Okay, so go ahead.
Hi, I'm Veronica. I'm the Director of Policy for the County Judge's Office. As of right now, there have been no changes to data privacy with the flock camera contracts. The County Attorney's Office is looking into this and is working on possibly making amendments, but as of this time, no amendments have been made or sent to court yet for approval.
Thank you. And that was, that's kind of my position was like, if we sign the contract first and then make the amendments, what is the incentive for them accepting the amendments? But again, it was, it's one of those things that's like, if I don't even know, that it's going to be rammed through that day. And I think that's why these community organizations are so important, because these folks are up for re-election this year. And, it's just, I think that from experience, I will tell you that you're particularly sensitive to community, to organized community even more when you're on the ballot. It's just a natural thing. Yes. Okay, I'm going to go over here just because we heard from you earlier. Yes. Oh, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Lina Robinson here with Pure Justice. So we have three. I'll read the first one and then the second one's really short. Housing assistance, low-income housing, quality. I put an emphasis on quality low-income housing because we tend to throw cardboard boxes up and call it, here you go. Utility assistance, jobs, mortgage assistance, transportation options in the suburbs connecting to Houston. The second one is, I said roads and we Googled roads because, as you know, you can go anywhere out of Harris County and the roads are all nice and smooth and just beautiful, right? And then you come further into the city and we is bouncing all over the place, hitting chug holes, tearing the underbody of our cars, and all of this matters because that increases our costs on maintenance for our vehicles and such. So the question was, who's responsible for that? And then, of course, early child care for our babies. I think a lot of people, because either they don't have kids or whatever, and they're like, everybody should take care of their own kids. True enough. However, we will all cross the bridge of being seniors needing assistance from somebody's child. And I want an educated baby to take care of me versus one that is not educated and might just, treat me any old kind of way because of lack of the education in the early childhood. So I think that's very important. I think we should definitely champion that. We had it last year, I remember, went through this same thing, and here we are again, and I'm hoping that we see it better, clearer this time around to make a difference on all of this.
Okay, thank you. So the question about the quality and the condition of the roads in unincorporated areas, so areas of Harris County that are not in any city. For example, I started high school in Cypress. Cypress is not a city, but it's still part of Harris County. So the commissioner precinct out there, I think it would be Commissioner 4, right, in Cypress, Briones? Half? Okay, half Briones, half Ramsey. And so they are in charge of the roads out there. And the funding that they use for those roads and sidewalks, et cetera, most of it comes from the toll road. And so that's, when people ask, when we voted for the toll road, we were told that once it paid for itself, we'd be done paying for tolls. And the reason why, we're still collecting tolls is because that is where the quote-unquote mobility funding comes from. And that is the issue that has been discussed in the paper a couple times, because we did an audit. I've been kind of trying to get to the bottom of this for a few years, and finally in 2024, the independent auditor did an audit and found that the contracts that were awarded by the flood control district and the engineering department did not have any procurement process behind them. There was no conflict of interest forms, there was no scoring, there was no committee, and those are contracts that use the toll road money. So anyway, so that's another thing that I'm really trying to bring attention to before I leave office, because we can have all those contracts go through the purchasing department, which is more independent. Anyway, in the city of Houston, because of their funding limitations, you might see, like you said, more of that issue. I know Commissioner Precinct 1, Ellis, sort of subsidizes some of the city projects, but that's sort of going back to, sure, we can cut the funding, but then you start seeing more of those issues. So and so that's kind of the debate on the budget. And then your last piece was about early childhood. I know there were headlines about the proposal was to raise taxes, and I do want to clarify. So hopefully you can clarify in your communities. Is the proposal that I brought to Commissioners Court both this year and last year was never about raising taxes. It was about putting on the ballot the question of, are people willing to pay an additional penny in order to continue to fund a successful program? So then, if you believe that everybody should pay for their own childcare, etc., you vote no. And if you believe that you want these children to be educated for the future, then you vote yes. And we just see where things come out. But it would be a penny for each $100 valuation. So the average home, I guess, it's like $350, $300. Okay, so it'd be like around, it's $350,000, so the average home would be paying $35 more per year. And the programs have been running 4 years, and they've been evaluated 5 times, and they've served about 97,000 students. All right, so we really did want to do this exercise with the dots. So I'm just gonna and so what that one is basically like, okay, so you have limited resources. So where are you gonna put them if you have to choose between those competing priorities? And then the last thing I have here is I'm just looking at the questions real quick that were submitted online, and I did notice that a lot of them intersect with the questions that have already been asked. Just real quick, what percentage of budget are salaries for FY26? So this year, nearly 3/4 of the county budget is labor, salary, benefits, costs directly related to employees, and then in terms of I think we covered this. Any renewable energy or environmental protection. 5 main departments touch on that work: pollution control, Office of Sustainability, County Attorney, Engineering, and Toll Road. So we passed a community-focused climate action plan. The community pretty much wrote it. And it's about, fleet, renewable energy, energy efficiency. So, we're happy to provide more details on that. And then, there's very specific on a particular neighborhood. So I am going to make sure that we respond to these, to the ones that I have not answered yet, but the rest of it has mostly been covered. So I will pass it back to Juliet, who is our Chief Financial Officer for my office, and she'll explain this real quick, and then that could just be the last exercise that we do, and we will collect it. We were hoping to have report out time, but I think it was good to have you guys ask questions.
Okay, so now we're going to move to the fun part. Each table, around several of the tables, you can see the notepads with 11 different choices as to where your tax dollars can be spent. And so what we would like is we have 5 minutes for each table to talk about where they would like to spend their funding, and we will have, you'll pick your top 4. So if you can please discuss amongst your table where you want to spend your money and pick your top 4, and then we'll go around and ask everybody their results and tabulate the totals. So I will give everybody some call outs as the time goes on, but we have 5 minutes. And if there's any questions about what is included in each category, please just reach out. We're happy to help. Okay, thank you.
Have you seen Deidre? Oh, there she is. Just real quick. All right, everybody, I want to be transparent that it's 7:01, and so we'll be here still to be able to talk to you guys. We're going to call the raffle at the same time as folks conclude, and we will collect everything afterwards, but we'll still be here, and the department leads will still be here. And then here's information for you to come to Commissioner's Court. I think people are so engaged in this, I'm just going to, yeah. All right, thank you all so much. We will call the raffle.
Okay, if I could get everyone's attention, please. We really appreciate the engagement. That means you care about the Harris County budget. Okay, just for a few seconds, Judge, if you would come and pull the winning raffle tickets. We have 4 raffle prizes.
Okay, I will do this then. So the first one is 755-7876. 7876. All right, we have a winner. Okay, I'm gonna call the other one. 766. Okay, come on over. 755-7884. 884. 884. Okay. 755-7880. 880. 880, you won a prize. Woo. Nice. Thank you, thank you. Good job. Here, yeah. Did we get 880? Okay, and then we have 755-7869. 869. 869. All right. Okay, this side of the room is doing great. And so, is there one more? Okay, let me not call out more than there are. So here's the last one: 755-7866. 866. 866. All right. Okay. All right, y'all. So let's give everybody a round of applause. Here's information for you to come to Commissioner's Court. Thank you. We will be here, but we also did want to end on time. Thank you all so much for spending your time here with us. Thank you.
And if you all would join me in thanking Judge Hidalgo for hosting this town hall and her team. Thank you. And we'll look forward to seeing you at Commissioner's Court.